All right, welcome everybody. Happy Wednesday. My name is Meg. I am part of the Power to Fly virtual hosting team, and I am super excited to be chatting with you all today. Really excited to introduce our speaker and kind of dive into this subject. So before we get started, because we do have a limited timeline, I do just want to go over a couple quick housekeeping items for y'all. So a couple things to know is, like all of our virtual events, today is all about you. It's all about our audience, our community members, and making sure that y'all can participate as much or as little as you'd like so that you get as much out of today as we put into it. So to that end, you are more than welcome to come off mute and propose any kind of questions, comments, add clarification or context to any of the questions you submitted prior to today. If you do that, you will show up on our recording because we're currently recording this and live streaming it to our website. So if you have any security concerns or want to make sure that you don't come off or want to make sure you don't show up on the recording, not a problem. You can still participate in the Zoom group chat. Just make sure you send your questions or comments are visible to everyone. And if you are under like deep cover, don't want anyone to know you're here, no issues there. Just make sure that you still can put your questions or comments in the group chat. But instead of sending them to everyone, you'll use that drop-down menu and pick my name, Meg Power to Fly, off the list. And that way the questions will come to me individually. I'll keep you anonymous and try and raise those to Lizzie. So we have a lot of questions today that were really great questions. I don't know that we'll get to them all, but if you are joining us for today's session, you are of prime importance. So if you want to make sure your question is asked and answered, the best way to do that is by participating, either coming off mute to ask your question or putting it into the Zoom chat. So along those lines, like I said, we are being recorded today. So anybody that registered for today's session, regardless of whether you spend 5 minutes, the full 30, or if you forgot or it didn't line up with your timetable and you're planning on watching this recording later, in the future. Everybody is going to get a link. They'll get an email in 1 to 2 business days with a link to rewatch this recording on our website. But if if Lizzie drops some really great knowledge on you and you just can't wait to share it with, a coworker or a friend, or family member, you are more than welcome to get at the recording sooner. You can go to our YouTube channel. We are at Power to Fly, and grab the link from there. It should be available within 5 minutes of us ending today's session. What else? Oh, if you do want to come off mute to comment or ask questions, awesome, but make sure that you only come off mute when you're speaking. Oftentimes there's background noise in the background that you might not even really be aware of. And this, kind of limiting it to coming off mute when you're actively talking, make sure that audio clarity stays clear for everyone. If we do have some weird background noises somewhere, I will mute, but I'm not going to like cut you off in the middle of a sentence or anything. And what else? Oh, try not to come off mute when either Lizzie or a fellow attendee is speaking. I know with lag times it can be difficult, but do your best. Meanwhile, if I'm talking and you want to ask a question, please feel free to interrupt me because I literally just get paid to fill the silence. So I know I'm missing something. Oh, so if you go to our YouTube channel and you do subscribe to that, it's really a great idea because that can make sure that you don't miss any of our upcoming Power to Fly chats, our chat and learns, our study sessions, our mock interviews, our chat and learns, any of that kind of fun stuff. So make sure you check us out there. And you can also feel free to take video or photos as we're going during today's session. You're more than welcome to share them. So let everybody know that you are learning with Power to Fly this morning. We are at Power to Fly on all social media. So LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Yeah, and I think we're all ready to get started. So Lizzie is here to host today's session about how to nail your first data analytics project. She is one of our Power to Fly mentors, and she is a data product specialist at Variant Labs. Lizzie, welcome. And would you like to, introduce yourself and give our attendees a little bit of background on you?
Sure. Thanks so much, Mac, for your lovely introduction so far. I'm very happy to be here hosting this session and get to know all of you. Even though I cannot see you, but I'm happy to share whatever knowledge I have around data and data analytics, or maybe professional experiences so far and so forth. I started off my career working at a big bank in New York. I worked there for 4 years. As both a business analyst and a project manager. And then in the end, after 4 years, I felt like what I did wasn't exactly what I love. And I also wanted to upskill myself even more. So I went to Chicago. So I moved from New York to Chicago to pursue my master's degree in data science. So in Chicago, I learned obviously, and I got to intern at a startup in Chicago. And at that startup, I was involved with both data science and product analytics project work. And that was where I really found out my passion in working in a small agile team and in technology overall. Post-graduation, I moved back to New York City, but like I'm currently working as a full-time data product specialist at Variant Labs. It is a gaming technology company based in Silicon Valley. What I do is a hybrid roles. I work with data day in and day out. I also work on product management. We have a really distributed team across the globe. We have colleagues in Asia, like Thailand, in Macau. We also have folks in Europe, and obviously we have a team in the United States and Canada. The reason I want to give this session is to, first of all, obviously share my experiences, and second, to, I guess, take any questions that you guys have around how do I break into this field, because I find that there are a lot of information, knowledge, or even noises that you can find online around data science, machine learning, or data analytics in general, and which can be overwhelming to a lot of the new beginners. So I really want to simplify the whole processes if possible, and help you guys who are interested to get into the field if you want. So I think that's like enough of a high level background, and I would love to, get to the questions and hear about like what exactly I can answer for you.
Awesome. Thank you for that great intro, Lizzie. I think it's really great when you kind of give people a little bit of context on where you came from. So thank you. All right, so we do have a bunch of pre-submitted questions that we picked up from what you guys had submitted when you registered for today's session. And I know that we also have some questions that are coming in on the chat. So we're going to try and get to those. But like I said, please feel free to come off mute or throw your questions in the chat if you would like to get them asked. So Kieran had asked earlier when we were chatting before the session started, what are the ingredients that really make a report pop?
Clarity and simplicity. So like, if I want to start with two very important concepts, these are the two, and start with these two goals in mind, because in terms of the techniques, there were a bunch. You can do different histogram, you can do pie chart, you can do correlation analysis, you can build everything in Tableau, in Power BI, in Looker, or even in other small visualization tools developed by different companies. But the goal for any visualization is to convey the information that your boss cares about. And what do they care about? Like most cases, if you work for a corporation, there are only, to simplify everything, there are just two metrics. Think in terms of revenues, think in terms of cost. Are the metrics that you built supporting your analysis or insights into how the company has been doing in terms of revenues? How are our business doing? If it's an e-commerce company, you want to probably share the daily active user trend to begin with. If there's a drop in the trend, or if there's a spike, if so, when did that happen and why? And start with something pretty simple and high level. From the past quarter or past year or even past months, depending on the period, like depending on the goal of this exercise. Are you acquiring new customers? Are you trying to retain the existing customers? Start with questions that the business cares about first. And always like create something simple, 4 or 5 insights, submit, get a feedback, and go from there. There are a lot of iterations that I'm sure everyone will go through. It's never going to be done right the first time. at least from my experiences.
Absolutely, especially when you're starting out.
Yeah.
All right, so one of the other questions we had submitted, this person wanted to know what things make a pitch for a data analytics project successful? And do you have any advice in sharing data in a siloed environment?
It's a good question. So the first one, what makes the data analytics successful? So like obviously one immediate measurement we have is your analysis project, is the recommendation that you make adopted by the business stakeholders. So that's the most direct measurement for like success criteria. But in many cases, it's not going to happen just over one shot. Like during the process, you want to make sure that the pitch is very simple, clarity and simplicity. One thing that I find useful is to have one viewpoint or one recommendation per slide, and limit one's graph per slide. And you want to make the header something that you recommend. So because like from my experiences, I've seen a lot of summaries for one slide and the other slide, and it's kind of overwhelming for someone who really has limited time to read through. So you want to, first of all, start with telling them what you're going to tell them about. Second, you describe what each slide is about. And then lastly, you summarize again why they need to care about what you submit. Technically, there are different approaches. Nowadays, we usually do everything either in Python or SQL. You don't need to worry too much about the different languages, and focus on the actual graphs and insights. I'm sure there are a lot of analysis behind that, but when you actually present, make it really simple that everybody understands. Do you have any?
Funny to hear you say that, because like I said, I have like no background in this area, but your point about like kind of stating what you're going to show them the data, and then summarize again is exactly what I remember my English lit teacher telling me about when you're writing a paper on something, or trying to write about things to explain something to people when you're teaching the whole thing. So it's really funny how these are very steps that are really applicable to so many fields and so many industries.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like reading a cartoon. It's really about the story behind the cartoon, and then less about, I mean, the aesthetics matters too, but it's always the stories that grab you the most.
Yeah, so true. Okay, so we had somebody ask in the chat here. This person said, I've seen job postings for analytics or business analyst jobs that specify that they are not a project manager role. Isn't there a lot of overlap with project management?
Yes and no. Yes, because definitely there is like a lot of overlapping, because you have to work with a project manager. Or in rare cases, I know in some technology companies, a lot of the project management is driven by the technical owner. So but most cases it's a separate function, because as an analyst or an analytics professional, you are very deep in the analysis part. And whereas project management overall is over supervising the progress of different projects. And as a project manager, you could like supervise a lot of different projects going on at the same time. Whereas when you're working on an analytics project, say you work on this particular gaming platform, but the other person could be working on a different gaming platform. Those two projects could be managed by the same project manager at the same time. But you do have to check with this project manager every now and then. And then also in project management, there are like differences. So there's overall business product management, and then there's also technical project management. So like if you can tell me like the context for that question, or you're trying to pivot into one or the other, happy to talk more.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, is that, you could always sell that experience and skills as, making you better able to communicate with your project manager, or with with another team or something like that. But yeah, thank you for explaining that. Jane had just asked in the thread here, she says, you mentioned Python and SQL. Is it possible to enter the field with basic skills in these languages and then develop as you go?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I know there seems to be an ocean of syntax and knowledges you need to know about these two languages, particularly Python. There are like 100 libraries you can literally learn, and it's never going to be enough, it feels like. I would suggest like you develop a baseline proficiency. Say we start with SQL or Python. Look up the most frequently used libraries, to begin with. I would say usually 2 will be enough. And then second, once you have the baseline proficiency, ship some projects. So finish one project from end to end and develop like get a better understanding of the hands-on practice, and then iterate a second time, work on a different but similar project. Once you like successfully build 2 projects, I think you kind of get the gist of what you need to pay attention to. So there is a lot to learn, but all you need is to focus on a few and then just work on it. Is that a good answer?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Jane, if you have anything follow up there, please feel free to ask. So one of our next questions that I thought was a really interesting one, and if you have info on this, I'm happy to share it into the Zoom chat, or we can include it on the rewatch email. But this person had wanted to know, can you share some resources, free or paid, to learn more about improving our data analysis skills?
Yeah, sure. I would like, okay, let me start with free. I love free learning materials, and I think there are a bunch really cool. So like for YouTube, there is this one channel called StatsQuest that I follow even from time to time. And this guy did an amazing job of distilling difficult, complex mathematical concepts into simple insights. That's one. And
what's the name of that channel again?
So StatsQuest, StatsQust.
Okay. I'm pulling up these links as I can find them, guys. So I'll put them
Yeah,
into the chat.
and he always started off with playing a ukulele song, and then he started, telling about p-values or machine learning concepts or different, So I think that's pretty cool. That's one. But obviously, you may feel that that's not enough. I would suggest go to like this website called KD Nuggets, KDNUGGET. There are a lot of information there, but make sure you start with, say, data analysis topic overall. And there are blogs, there are different company projects, discussions going on, and also data sets for you to actually work on. I think that's a great learning resource for data analysis. And another thing I want to say is perhaps go to Kaggle and looked at 2 or 3 finished projects that were highly rated by the community, and go through the business context and go through the actual solution part from those highly rated solutions and see how other people tackle a problem. And then I think it's very helpful to learn from someone to begin with, and then you kind of like imitate first, and then you will develop some of your own insights. So I think that's for free to begin with.
Where's that?
Have more, and we can share more. For paid, I would say.
Hold on, Lizzie. What was the last one you mentioned?
Kaggle, Kaggle.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. For paid, check out Udacity for some of the like cheap paid ones. To begin with, but also there are a lot of paid courses there. I think maybe I should look into more to give you like the right answer for that, because if you're paying for it, I don't know if you get what you need. So start with the free ones first. See how you like and see where your questions are, and then go for the paid ones.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing those resources. I think it can be one of those things that seems really complicated, or you don't really know where to start. So any kind of direction you're able to provide, that's great. All right, so one of let's see, Sati's in the chat actually saying that they use data camp and that they're pretty good, and Kiran's also saying data.world for data sets.
Yeah. I know both, and particularly I like Data World. It's a cool company. They have a cool community too, and there are a lot of data sets there. Thank you for reminding me.
Thanks, everybody. Those are great suggestions. All right, so this next question had asked, what's the best way to learn new programs or tools for data wrangling?
Practice. That sounds like a really lame answer, but I cannot think of anything else. I would say start with one question that really interests you. It could be Airbnb rental. It could be films ratings. It could be, I don't know, like hotel restaurants ratings or course and then go through the process of analyzing that data set. Because like when you go through that, you will know, okay, I need to use this syntax in SQL in order to get ABC metrics, or okay, I need to use Python, and particularly the, say, pandas library to manipulate the data frame. So like after one or two practices, you will get a pretty good experience with these essential skills. And yeah, I mean, you have to do it in order to learn. It's like you have to actually swim to learn how to swim.
I think that's a really good way to put it. There's some skills that you really just can't hone unless you're just getting to the basics of practice, do them over and over. Let's see, we also have another question in the chat here. Jane is asking, during your work week, how much of your time is spent working on data versus collaborating with a team or sharing data?
That's a good question. I definitely collaborate with them every single day. I would say 30% of my time, sometimes 40%, depending on like if the data sources are not clear, you have to clarify with also the developers to make sure that the right databases are built and the different schemas are written correctly. I would say 30 to 40% in a startup. Maybe in a bigger company, it's different story because everything is built systematically. We don't necessarily one thing I like about working at startup is there's less siloed. So once you clarify the requirements, you get access to what you need immediately. You don't need to go through different approvals to be able to access what you need. So for that sense, I think I don't spend much time sharing the data. Once I have the data, once they build the data, I will be able to access what I need.
Okay, we also have another question in the chat from Sati. Sati says, hi, Lizzie, I'm a career changer. Just finished a data science bootcamp. I've been looking and applying for about 3 months now and haven't gotten a single interview. Do you have any advice to improve my odds?
Like what are the places that you've been looking at? I mean, obviously.
Yeah, Sati, can you give us a little bit more context here, a little more details? And while we're waiting for that, we can go back to one of the other questions because we only have 5 minutes left. It always goes too quickly.
Oh, wow.
I know, I'm telling you, right? It flies. Let's see. This person wanted to know, how can we develop good criteria for trusted data sources?
Wow, that's a tough question. How do we, like these data sources is coming directly from, say, our backend for, you're a database, you are a consumer making purchases on Amazon. This is the direct source from the whatever the backend that we collect information. I guess this question comes from someone who maybe works at a bigger company where a lot of different processes were involved and you are not sure which one is the trusted data source. I think if that's the case, you probably want there's a business stakeholder who signs off on this is the valid resource, this is a valid source. And you want to make sure that the data source is true in the sense that there's no intermediary steps to manipulate or transform or overly process whatever you have. This is whatever you get from the original transaction database or whatever database you get from. I'm not sure if that's a good answer, but maybe you can give me more context about what you want to get from this question. Maybe I can help more.
Okay, thank you for calling that out. So we've got 3 minutes left. I'm going to try and get to as many of these questions as we can. I'm also waiting for a little bit more detail from Sati. All they'd sent so far was job boards mainly and a couple of referrals, a few virtual job fairs too.
Okay.
And I actually think, guys, I think Power2Fly is hosting a job fair on I want to say it's tomorrow, but let me double check that.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, let me check on that and see when our next virtual job fair is coming up. Aslam had asked, with which database are you working when you use SQL or Python?
We have everything stored on the cloud in AWS. So everything in AWS cloud, we play around with. Like I know some companies use on-premise databases so far. So in that case, maybe Oracle or MySQL. But I'm more familiar with the startup environment. So from what I know, a lot of technology startups have everything on the cloud. So either Google Cloud or AWS Cloud. Syntax-wise, it's similar. It's basically the same.
Okay, let's see here. All right, we've got a couple more questions left. Is there anything that you would like to flag before we leave, or any subject that we didn't hit that you especially wanted to talk about?
Oh yeah, I just want to follow up on the career jobs hunting question, and I know there like the known resources such as LinkedIn and Glassdoor that Indeed that we know about, but please also check out the other less known places such as Power2Fly, for example, or AngelList. They curate a list of startup companies. Some of them are really cool, and I'm sure they're hiring. And if you are based in US, check out Built-in newsletter. So there's like Built-in Chicago, Built-in New York City, Built-in Austin. They curate all pretty cool startup jobs, and those startups are usually funded. And check out their, like before the pandemic, they have periodic company happy hours that you can actually go to and then experience. But now maybe they have virtual sessions too, and they I think that's a really cool resource. And also like check out the muse.com, MUSE.
I love that one.
Yeah, right. It has a great interface overall, good experience, and their tips and then jobs. If you don't know that yet. And then just be creative, you just never know how you act, like where or how you actually find a job. But LinkedIn, usually for one position, I've seen like over 500 applicants. Oh my God. It's very tough to go through that route, I think.
Yeah. All right, so I know we didn't get to Sati's question, but like I did message them and let them know. So I've shared your LinkedIn information, like your LinkedIn URL in the chat, so that way people can connect with you at and ask further questions if you're okay with answering them. I do want to say thank you for calling out the Power2Fly virtual job fair. We are having that tomorrow. It runs from 2:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. IST. So please feel free to check that out if you guys want. And then we are also going to be hosting, we host at least one job fair a month usually. So if you know the one tomorrow doesn't work out for you, you can also keep looking. And then the other thing I want to call out before we leave is that if you have a Powerfly account and you go to different like job pages, like you search the companies, you can follow specific companies. You can, and what that does is it'll alert you when they post new jobs, so you don't have to keep coming back to check job boards. There's also a function within our job boards that you can set up a personal alert, so you can get you know, a customized list of jobs that would pertain to you sent to your email every week, which is really helpful. Let's see, and you can follow and unfollow companies as many times as you like, you know, as often as you want to. So please feel free to check that out. So as we leave today, Lizzie, I just want to say thank you so much for answering so many of the questions, especially the ones that were submitted during today's chat. I know it can be a little bit rattling to take questions on the fly, but you handled them so beautifully. So thank you so much for that. I've got a list of most of the links and the resources that Lizzie had mentioned. So we'll hopefully include those in the rewatch email. And yeah, super excited to see many more of you on upcoming chats. Hopefully you'll join us for some more sessions. I know we've got some really cool stuff happening this week. Let's see, later this afternoon, we've got a chat on breaking into UX and landing your first role as a UX designer. Tomorrow, there's tips and tricks for applying for virtual interviewing and applying to help you land your next big role. There's also another chat on leaving toxic workplaces. As well as in the afternoon, there's going to be a free session on live interview coaching with Power to Fly's career coach, Heather Cole. That starts at 3 o'clock Eastern. So please feel free to check those out. And hopefully I'll see you guys around many more times and soon enough. So see you guys later. Have a great Wednesday and see you soon. Bye. Yeah.